Hello and welcome to Niche Sports. And it has taken us 2 years to come to this point. Almost 2 years, I'd say. In these 2 years, we've seen a lot in life. I would say not just on the cricket field, but we've had a pandemic. But yes, still, we've managed to continue with the World Test Championship. And finally, we've got the summit clash with India taking on New Zealand at the AGS Bowl in Southampton. And as promised on Niche Sports, we are going to preview the game. But we've got a surprise for you, and that is Coach Gary Stead of New Zealand. He is joining us all the way from the Hilton AGS Bowl, and he's got a nice view of the ground, I'm guessing. So, Gary, thank you so much for joining us ahead of this all-important clash and making time for us amidst your very busy schedule, as I can imagine.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm actually overlooking the ground right here now, and we trained this morning, and India are having a training this afternoon. So keeping my eyes out there, just make sure they've got no tricks up their sleeves for us.
Absolutely. And again, I'm thrilled to have Sachin Bajaj joining me, my co-founder at Niche Sports from the Global Cricket School. Hi, Sachin. And Sachin is an old friend of Gary. Gary has toured India, by the way back in 1999. So he knows a lot about us. Gary was a player back then. He had opened the batting for New Zealand. Now in a different capacity, trying to get the better of India. Sachin, I let you go at your mate first up.
Okay. Steady. I'm just waiting for COVID to go, and then I can come and stay at your place outside Christchurch. So that's what I'm looking forward to more than anything else. And watching Libby do a paces. Now no more fast bowler. I believe an off spinner now.
Yeah, she's an off spinner. But I remember last time you came and stayed at my place there, Sachin, and it was so cold that I think you were wrapped up in 4 or 5 jackets, if I'm right, to try and stay warm.
And looking for a brandy.
Yeah, absolutely. Always keen for that.
My friend, morale, I'm sure, is high in the team right now. Convincing series win against England. Taking the momentum also of the 2019 World Cup final, where y'all almost made it. Y'all were on the line, but not across the line. Good momentum to take. You've had a good run in. I think I'd say you guys would be favorites. And your thoughts on the game going forward?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure the 2019, I guess, World Cup and what happened there has that much bearing on what's happening in this. It's obviously a different format, but it's nice to be in the situation of being in a final situation again. And we're really, really excited that we get, I guess, first chance with India in that final. And I guess many people will look at it a little bit of a David and Goliath type setup with little New Zealand and big India there that we play against. And we love playing against India. There's a really good relationship there as well. And just can't wait to really get started.
Right. And Gary, recently in the media, you said it isn't quite clear, or you aren't sure if staying and playing those 2 tests gives you the advantage over India. But India have spent their last 2 weeks, a better part of the last 2 weeks in Southampton. How do you look at that? Do they get any more know-how of the conditions compared to you? Or what is the balance like, I would say, between the two sides?
Look, I think when you come and train and play in these places as well, you have to adapt to the different conditions. So today for training, for example, we had 3 training nets that were quite new. They had a little bit of the artificial hybrid grass in them, and they bounced probably a little bit more than the middle wicket will. And then we had an open wicket as well that was a little bit lower. So you just have to, I guess, learn to adjust to the different stages. I think us having a couple of tests under our belt was important to us. And the reason I say that is otherwise we come from our winter at home. We don't have a lot of training at this time of the year. So for us to get over here and play against England was important, but I know India have also come from the IPL where they've been playing plenty of cricket as well.
Okay. Steady, I've got 2 parts to a question to you. You've got a well-oiled machinery now. You've got Williamson and Watling who are pretty fit. I think this would be Watling's swan song series, a swan song test match, a lot to play for. But my main question to you was, both you've got 2 cricketers of South African origin who were underachievers when they were in South Africa. I went through their stats. You've got Conway and Wagner. What have you guys done? There's obviously something New Zealand cricket has done correctly, opportunity-wise, giving these guys confidence-wise, that you've got two absolutely world-class performers. I mean, it's a big tribute to New Zealand cricket for having when these guys came, they were given the opportunities, they were mentored, nurtured. There's something you guys are doing right in your system. What is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we've never closed our doors at all to people that want to come and play in New Zealand. And I think South Africa has been, I guess, a place of some unrest for a while as well. And so when some of these guys come over and I guess give themselves to New Zealand as such to say, I want to qualify and become a New Zealander, then we have to be sure that they fit into what we're after as well. And I guess in Neil Wagner, I guess at the start, I mean, Wags has been an unbelievable performer for us over a period of time. His ability to come in when things are tough and keep going and do it for his mates and for the team is pretty special to watch. And last year against Pakistan, he was bowling with broken toes. And I mean, it takes a pretty tough character to do that. And Devon Conway, he's a special player as well. I mean, he came to us as a 26, 27-year-old, and it's taken him 3 or 4 years to qualify. And I think now we're reaping the rewards of him being in the absolute prime of his life. What we do, I'm not sure we do anything particularly outstanding or important. I think sometimes for these guys, just simply having the opportunity is what they're really, really after. And I guess when they come over and they see the opportunity, and it's easier to be noticed in New Zealand, given we only have 6 first-class teams and 90 to 100, I think, first-class cricketers. So it's very easy to be in our system and not get lost as such, which I think happens in other countries.
You know, following up to that, you must have grown up watching the likes of Richard Hadley, Martin Crowe, John Wright playing. Later, you were playing when Stephen Fleming had built his team. And now you are coaching this team. So you've got good perspective to answer this question. Do you think this is the best group of test cricketers that New Zealand has assembled in a long, long time, or possibly ever?
It's really hard to answer because I think it's hard to compare, I guess, decades to decades and teams to teams. But I think the one thing I will say is when I think you look back on this team in 10, 15, 20 years' time, I think people will be saying of the likes of a Kane Williamson, a Ross Taylor, a BJ Watling, a Tim Southee, a Trent Bolt, who knows, with a Kyle Jamieson and a Devon Conway and those sort of people in the future, that they are some of the greats that will come through New Zealand cricket as well. And I think, I don't want to compare eras because it's very, very tough to do, but I do think we've got a very, very special group of cricketers at the moment who are playing for New Zealand.
And just to add on to that, Ajaz Patel has been picked, and just to give you some interesting trivia, he's the only Mumbai-born cricketer across the 215s, because Rohit Sharma was born outside Mumbai and so was Ajinkya Rahane, although they play for Mumbai. So that's some interesting trivia. What worked for Ajaz Patel over, say, a Mitchell Santner, who's also someone who can contribute with the bat?
I guess for us, Ajaz, he's a little bit shorter, and so the stumps are always in play as well. So we think with Ajaz's record and the way that he's played in the last test, but also in overseas tours and stuff for us in the past, that he keeps the LBW, he keeps the bowls in play as well. So there's not too many balls that go over top of the stumps. In our view right now, he's a better test spinner than Mitchell is, and that's sometimes a hard call to have to make because Mitch has done a really good job for us. Remembering that when we play in New Zealand, the role of the spinner is often quite different to what it is in many other countries as well.
India's announced a 15-man squad. Any surprises? Anything you were expecting differently?
I've got it written up on my wall up here. I'm very, very look. when you leave out people of the class of KL Rahul, for example, I mean, he's an incredible talent, and I guess I look and I smile somewhat that we don't have to bowl to him, but then you look down the class of the batting order that's likely to be, and you still have an amazing team there that's a very, very experienced team as well. I look through India and I find it very, very hard to find where there are weaknesses, and I hope teams look and say the same about us as well. And that's the strength of getting to this stage of the tournament, is you have to play well at home especially, but also you have to win away from home from time to time. And that's what both teams have done. So I think you're going to see a very, very evenly matched team. I think the percentages, when you looked at the way the World Test Championship was drawn, was within 1 or 2% of each other. So the two teams who have qualified at the top will fight it out. And yeah, as I said earlier, really looking forward to just getting the game started and seeing what progresses over the 5 or maybe even the 6th day as well.
And, during the 2019 World Cup semi-final, your pace bowlers got the better of the Indian top order. Now, 2 of them are here in this same lineup, which is Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. But there's obviously, you've got the likes of Shubman Gill and Cheteshwar Pujara, who are additions when compared to that lineup. So what would be, say, your approach and mindset from a bowling unit?
We've been through our scouting plans with all the players and stuff as well, and you have slight differences with each player around how you're going to, I guess, attack them and who's the right matchup for them as well. I guess at the end of the day, you can look at all that stuff, but you also have to go back and trust the skills of your own players as well. And what we have managed to do over the last 18 months to 2 years is, I think, have a very, very strong bowling lineup that led by Southee and Bolt, with backup from Jamieson now and Wagner. And they're all very, very different bowlers in their own right as well. And so they provide, I guess, some point of difference from each other when we look to attack. So I guess the main thing we look at is, what are our strengths? How do we go about then applying them on a consistent basis against this Indian side? But look, as I said earlier, there's no real holes in their side at all. We know we're going to have to be at the very top of our game to compete and beat them. And let's hope in 2 days' time that we can be right on song with that.
Steady, I've got 2 small questions for you. The first one is not connected directly with the series, but your 12th man's up in heaven supporting you, Mike Dormer. His role has been fantastic with the Willows. A lot of your players have been on Willows tours all over the world. And could you throw some light on Dormer's role and what the Willows have done to put New Zealand on the world map? That's part 1 of my question. And the second part's a little more simpler. Your thoughts on the World Test Championship format, and how do you see its future evolving?
Yeah, well, first of all, Mike Dormer, very sad a couple of months ago now that Mike passed away, and he's been I guess a real inspirational figure in the South Island in particular, in New Zealand, and developing his own cricket ground and fostering, I guess, first 11 cricketers to play against people who have played a lot of cricket in the past. And they used to play matches during the week, but every Sunday right through our season as well. And Mike was a real, I guess, stickler for the traditions of cricket, and he certainly taught them and educated the teams as they come out about the way that cricket should be played in a gentlemanly fashion, and also later on in his life as well, and involved the woman out there as well, which was great. And my daughter, as Sachin knows, plays cricket out there, and she's managed to play out at the Willows as well. So the other thing Mike did was he had a lot of tours to Sri Lanka and to India as well, and had a lot of scholarships and provided, I think, financial support for some of our young cricketers to experience different places in the world. And I know for us, I mean, somewhere like India is so different in terms of the culture, the way that you guys live compared to us, that it's a great eye-opener. And so we love that opportunity to get to India and parts of the world to experience that as well. So yeah, Mike will be very, very sadly missed. But his legacy will continue through the Willows Cricket Club through his son Ben, who's taken it over as well, which is fantastic. The World Test Championship final, I guess it's the ICC decision, the way it goes. I personally enjoy the way it's set up. I think you have 3 series, home and away. I guess ideally you would want to play everyone in one, I guess, cycle of it, but given the time frames and that, it makes it very, very tough. I know Ravi Shastri had mentioned the thoughts of possibly being a 3-match series. Again, I'm not against that. I guess the hard thing would be how you fit, I guess, a month of cricket into what is already a very, very congested calendar as well. So I enjoy, I think it's added context to the games. I think the point system has made people fight hard for draws, and it makes your away wins in particular more important, I think, or as important as you do with your home wins.
And how much does history have a bearing on mindset? Because New Zealand traditionally have been a difficult opposition for India in world events. Go back to the 2000 Champions Trophy final in Kenya, Chris Gaines getting that 100, or for that matter, the 2016 World T20. In 2007 World T20, when India won the tournament, New Zealand was the only team that got the better of them. Then, of course, you've got the 2019 World Cup semi-final. That history, does that in a way give you a bit of a psychological boost or an edge?
I guess whenever we play India, I think the guys lift and they love playing against India as well. I mean, cricket is like a religion there, right? And so the people we're playing against are treated like gods in many ways, and so it's a wonderful occasion to play against them as well. I'm not sure there's any psychological advantage or anything or scarring from India's perspective when they play us. They're always fantastic games of cricket. They're usually tight games of cricket, and I expect it'll be nothing different with this match here as well.
Gary, my last question to you is, are you expecting India to play 2 spinners against you with the weather slightly warmer and 2 international performers? Do you reckon you'd be up against 2 spinners?
We're planning that we will be. We're planning we will be. So, I mean, it balances out India's team because they both can bat as well. So we're expecting 2 spinners to play. I mean, the weather forecast is looking a little bit sort of dodgy over the next week or so. So whether that means there will be lesser time played, I'm not too sure. Whether the covers stay on and it stays a little bit greener perhaps, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. But certainly we're planning that we expect that 2 spinners will play.
And to wrap it up, I wanted to ask you this. Is there some unfinished business for New Zealand in England, considering the 2019 World Cup final? Because you would definitely want to come in and complete the job. And how much of a motivation is that?
Yeah, I think the 2019 World Cup does add a little bit more motivation to the team as a whole. But remember, there's only 5 or 6 of the guys that were actually here now who were there then as well. So, but I think as a country, I mean, we've been to 2 World Cup finals recently. We're very, very proud of the way that we've got there, the way that we've played. We just try and be true to that as often as we can. And hopefully if you're true to that for long enough, the results end up looking after themselves as well. So, it's a great occasion, that being it's the inaugural, I guess, World Test Championship final that we get to compete in it. It's something that I know our players are very, very proud of. Our staff's very, very proud of getting here as well. And it's a big occasion, but we're up for it, and I know India will be up for it as well.
Thank you so much, and it has been amazing to have you on our show. We wish you the very best. And also, I'd like to say this, that the New Zealand team is really admired a lot in India for the way, not just the way you play cricket, but also the way the team has conducted itself. And you talk about Brendan McCullum, who left a legacy. Kane is very popular. So are the others. So I'm quite sure that through all this, The cricket fans in India are definitely going to love this contest. And Sachin, is there anything that you would like to add to that? Don't you agree that New Zealand are definitely very popular here?
They're a very loved team in the subcontinent. And I've always enjoyed watching New Zealand cricket right since Steady stormed into my life at Mumbai Customs back in 1998. Yeah, a good bunch of people, friendly, they're terrific hosts. I'd wish them best of luck, but not best of luck enough to beat India. I'd want India to win, but I reckon we are up against it. But it's all to play for, and there's such a lovely bunch of guys. And Steady, do pass on our best wishes to both Kane Williamson and to the world's best manager in cricket, Mr. Sandil.
Oh, well, indeed. Hey, thanks for having us, guys. I mean, we love coming to India, and after the World Test Championship final next year, we're back to India for a Test series as well. So hopefully we can catch up in person then, and certainly we'll look forward to coming back there as well.
Yes, Gary, and we'd love to have you all back here in India. And all the best for the World Test Championship final once again. Also, another fun fact, Gary's highest test score is against India, which was at Ahmedabad in 1999. To all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us here on Knee Sports. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the bell icon for all the updates. And yes, do follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. We will be back with a lot more.